Hello everybody, my name is Kyle Lee, aka Kilo Loco from kiloloco.com, and today we're going to be going over Siri Intents. I'm going to be demonstrating how to do payments, but if you know how to do payments, you pretty much know how to do anything with Siri Intents because they obviously follow a similar pattern for just about everything else. The tools that we're going to be using today are Xcode 9 Beta 2, Swift 4, and I'm going to be using my iPhone 6s Plus. The reason for that is because I was running into a couple of problems when I was doing it on the simulator. You should be able to do this on the simulator without any problems, but I don't know if it's because I'm running Beta 2 that I'm having problems, but today we're going to be using that. I set the skill level to intermediate just because the way that I'm going to be demonstrating how this works. I'm going to be using the Apple developer account, which is a little bit more of an intermediate thing to know how to do. And also, you should know how to use user defaults if you want to follow along. And then if you want to find this project, you can find it here at the Siri Intents at my GitHub page. Now, so far, let me actually show you what we're going to be doing today. So as you can see on my screen, I have a Siri payment and it says my account balance. And when we check the balance, it just refreshes the balance. Now what I can do is if I press and hold, send,
Here's what I found.
send $50.
Which app would you like to use?
Payment Siri Proto.
Here's your payment, Siri Proto payment for $50. Do you want to send it?
Yes.
Payment Siri Proto sent your payment.
All right, so it says that it sent our payment. We're able to go back over to the app. We check it. Now we're $50 less. And obviously this isn't going to like a real API or anything, but yeah. And then we can also do requests. So request
Did you accidentally?
request $1 million.
Which app would you like to use?
Payment Siri Proto.
Here's your payment, Siri Proto payment request for $1 million. Do you want to send it?
Yes.
Payment Siri Proto sent your payment request.
All right, so now when we check our balance, bam. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. All right, guys, so that's what we're going to be covering, just something really simple like that. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the starter project, I'm not going to do a starter project because this is just like the basics, nothing to really set up. And all we have is just one label here, another label here that's going to be actually updated, and then a button that's going to check the balance. The view controller is just that, the label and the check balance. Both of these are connected. App delegate, there's nothing in there. And yeah, that's all. So since you guys can actually see the screen now, I'm actually going to delete the did receive memory warning because we don't need that. And let me see. And let's go ahead and start getting into it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the Apple developer account and I'm going to set that up. So let's go ahead and do that. Go to your account, sign in, all that good stuff. You go to your certificates, IDs, and profiles. We're going to go over here to app IDs. You're going to add a new one. And the name, we'll just call this Siri Bucks because that's what the name of my app is, Siri Bucks. And the bundle ID, well, let's go ahead and copy that. And drop that in there. And we want to enable SiriKit. So now we have all that set up and we're done with that piece. Okay, so now we have Siri set up. We want to go over to our capabilities, make sure that it's turned on in the app as well. And we want to go to, oh, wait, hold on. Siri, I don't know why I couldn't see it. So we're going to turn that on and make sure you get those check marks and we're good to go. It'll create the Siri Bucks entitlement for you. And yeah, that's one big step that we're already done with. All right, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to set up something that's going to handle our bank account. Now this obviously isn't like absolutely necessary to know how to do Siri Intents, but in order for me to demonstrate how I'm going to be using it, we have to set up a bank account class. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll create a new file. We'll just call this, well, it'll be a Swift file. We'll call this bank account. And we'll just do bank account. So this is going to handle all of our bank account stuff. And, you know, just for good coding practice, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that it has a private initializer. Completely unnecessary, but you know, it's good coding practice. That's what I would normally do, just to make sure that you can't create an instance of the bank account. And we're going to want to do two things. We want to have a bank account key that's just going to we're going to be able to use this using user defaults. And we also want to have access to, we want to specify our bundle ID. So we're going to be using that also with user defaults so that we can pass information between the Siri Intents target and our main iOS target. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So private, oh, I'm sorry. I don't need to do that. Oh, well, no, because I don't want to confuse anybody. So this will be, I'm sorry, I'm just so used to adding access control to my projects. Static let bank account key equals, and we'll just say bank account. And you'll see how we're using this. This is just like a namespace, pretty much, just so that we don't misspell bank account. And then we'll do the same thing with our suite name, and you'll see how the suite name is used right now. So we go you do whatever your you're gonna do whatever your bundle ID is, but it's gonna be prefixed with group. So group.com.kiloloco.siri bucks. Bam, like that. So just to make sure that that's the correct thing, see com.kiloloco Siri -bucks. Now, another capability that we're going to need to pass information between the two apps is we're going to have to go over to capabilities again, and we want to make sure that we turn on, let's see, which one is it? It is, oh, here it is. It's app groups. This is the one that we want to turn on. So go ahead and turn this on. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a new one. And see how it's prefixed with group dot. So we're going to just go ahead and pass in, once again, the same bundle ID, Siri -bucks. So we go ahead and add that. It should update everything else, and we're good to go. All right, so now that gives us the ability to pass information between these two targets, the iOS target and the Siri target. So we'll see this in action just right now. So first, let's go over what we need to do. We need to be able to check our bank account. We need to be able to set our bank account. We need to be able to withdraw from the bank account, and we need to deposit from the bank account. So let's go ahead and let's stub some of those functions in right now. And all these will be static functions. So I said check, let's say balance, right? And these are all going to return some stuff, or most of them are, but right now let's just stub everything and check. We need to set our balance. We need to withdraw, the one that I like. Oh, well, no, I don't know. Withdraw and static func. This is the one I like, deposit. There we go. So now we can we can do all that. So withdraw, we're gonna withdraw an amount, right? So let's pass in amount, and amount will be of type double. Same thing with deposit. Oh, we want to deposit an amount, and that'll also be of type double. And we want to check our balance. That's just something that should return a double. And let's see what else. Set balance. We're gonna just leave it because we're only gonna call it once, and we'll just say $1,000. So starting from the top, we have to check our balance, or actually we should put set balance up here, right? Because we have to set it before we could even check it. So that's just logically thinking. Come on, Kyle. All right, so what we need to do is we need to create our user defaults. So we'll do let defaults equal user defaults. Now, usually you would do what dot standard, right? And that's how you would usually do it within your project. But in order to pass information between the two targets that we're going to have, what we want to do is we want to initialize this with a suite name, which is why we made this suite name up here. So let's go ahead and pass in our suite name. And notice that it did give us an optional. So what we have to do is we actually have to check to make sure that we do have we are able to access those defaults. So guard, let, else, return, right? Right. All right. So now that we have access to the defaults, what we need to do is we need to synchronize those defaults. Why am I doing it in check balance? I thought I said I was going to do it in set balance, man. Got to set it before we can check it. Man. So what we need to do is defaults.set, and we are going to set a value for a Boolean, or for a key, I mean. So value, we want to work with doubles, right, for a key, and we're just going to set that to 1,000. Let's just start off our bank account with $1,000. It's not too bad. For key, bank account key. Why am I typing it all out? What am I doing? Bank account key. Yeah. So now we want to set that, right, to bank account. So we're going to be reusing bank account in here. And then our defaults, we just need to synchronize them and make sure that everything stays in sync so that we can work with it easily. Next, we want to check our bank account. So we're going to do the same thing here. So guard let defaults equal user defaults, and then suite name, and it's going to be suite name else return. And then we want to synchronize defaults. Why is it defaults dot sync? And then we'll do let balance equal defaults dot double for key, bank account key, and then we're just going to return balance. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We're just grabbing a double for that key. Now we need to withdraw an amount. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is also going to return an optional double because we may not be able to withdraw that amount for whatever reason. It may be like the balance may be null for whatever reason. So we need to return something, and it needs to be a double, but we don't want to just return 0, so we want to return nil. So pretty much the same thing as up here. Like, oh, this should also be an optional double right here. And right here, I should be returning nil, right? So we're just going to do the same thing right here. And once again, we're going to get the balance. Defaults dot double for key, bank account key. And then what we'll do is we'll set, oh, actually we should reuse this one right here. So I'm going to add an argument here so that we can set the amount to the new amount. So let's go ahead and do that. Set balance to amount. And this will take a double. This way we can reuse it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do let new balance equal balance. And since we're withdrawing, that means taking away, we're going to subtract the amount from it. Right? We'll now set our balance to the new balance. And then we'll also return the new balance just in case we need to use it. Right? And all we want to do for deposit is do the same exact thing, except this is going to be plus. So instead of typing all that stuff out, I'm just going to copy and paste it because that's not what this is about. This is like all math stuff, right? So now we have our bank account set up, and we should be able to, oh, this needs to return a double, optional double. Now that we have our bank account class all set up, we should be able to use it for the actual app that we're supposed to be trying to learn how to do. All right, so on view did load, if let's see, we want to do our user defaults. So, we'll do if bank account dot check balance dot is 0. If it's 0, then we want to set it to something, and we're going to just set it to 1,000. This is, what is this? This is optional, so we need to just force unwrap it. So let me see. Yeah, it should be fine. Anyway, we're just going to force unwrap it, and it should be fine. Okay, so if it is 0, then we have to set it, right? So bank account dot set balance to amount, and we're just going to pass in 1,000. And let's just make sure that I updated that to say amount instead of 1,000, which I didn't. There we go. And then also, I think I forgot to, no, looking pretty good. We should be fine. All right, so let's go ahead and try that. And then when we check our balance, all we're going to do is bank account. We're going to do let balance equal bank account dot check balance, and we'll unwrap that one. Sure, why not? Kyle, sometimes he's safe, sometimes he's not. I don't know what's going on. It's kind of weird, but whatever. So we'll do balance dot label, or balance label dot text is equal to, we're gonna convert this balance into a string. Actually, we need to make it look nice, so let's do it like this instead. Sometimes I do hate those new features from Xcode 9. So we're gonna do bank, or we'll do account balance, and then we'll say $, and then whatever the balance is here. All right, so let's go ahead and run that, and then if all is well, then we should be able to just check our balance so far, hopefully, but we'll see. We'll see how good Kyle really is. All right, so we need to check our balance. We check it and it's 1,000. If I press it again, it's still 1,000. The other thing that I forgot to do is once we set our balance, need to also update it right when we come in the app, but yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. This is fine. This works, right? All right, so let's keep going. So now's the part that you actually been waiting for. Let's go ahead and get into that. I just wanted to go over the logic of the bank account with you guys just so that you can follow along and you would know what is happening. And you could maybe use some of that logic in your own app. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a new target. A new target. Now we're going to choose Intents extension. You could do Intents UI extension. That will, well, we're not going to include the Intents UI extension. The Intents UI extension is just to kind of give you like a little view while you're talking to Siri. So like when you request $50 and it comes back, okay, which app did you want to use? Then you're going to specify what app you want to use, and it's going to be our app. And then when that pops up, it's going to say, okay, you're requesting $50, and then you can have a little view in there. Well, we're not going to do that. I just want to get into the basics of how to get up and running with Siri Intents. So right now we're going to just choose Intents extension, and we're not going to include the UI extension. And then for the product name, you could just, you could call this whatever you want. I'll just call it Siri Intent and Siri Bucks Intents. You can call it whatever you want. That part doesn't really matter. And yeah, go ahead and press finish. Activate the scheme, yes. And we're gonna see that up here we now have this set. So that's good. We want to make sure that this is set. If you go back over here, your Siri extensions won't, like when you're testing, it won't always work the way that you expect it. So just make sure that you have the right scheme when you're testing. You can go back and forth. That's not going to break your project or anything, but just when you're testing these things out, that's just something you should know. All right, so we're going to delete all this example code because Apple kind of sets you up with how to do messaging, and you could just go through. This is like, it shows you everything on how to do messaging. So we're going to delete all this stuff. And for the intent handler class, we're actually not going to do anything in there. It does give you a lot of extra functionality that you can get really, you can really like refine your SiriKit extension, but we're not going to get into that. All we're going to do is we're going to add extensions to this intent handler class to just do the very basics, which is we want to be able to send payments and we want to be able to request payments. So let's go ahead and do that. The protocols that we need to, the delegates that we need to adapt are, let me pull them up, because I don't keep this stuff memorized, guys. You guys should know that. End send, and we're gonna do payment intent handling. Payment intent handling, and make sure that you guys choose the right one when you guys are doing this, because it'll be send message intent handling, and that could mess you up, and you'll be like, "Why is my project not working? Oh my god!" And then you'll be like, "I don't know." So yeah, stuff like that. So we'll do that. We need two of them. So we need intent handler, and then we want to do in request payment intent. See, watch out for the rides. Payment intent handling. Right? So these are the two. And then Xcode will stub in what we need. So go ahead and stub that in, and that's just the handle method, which is all we're going to be working with today. There's a lot of other stuff that you could go into. You could do like you could pretty much make your Siri project like you want to make it very foolproof, but this is just the proof of concept for you guys, just to get up and running. So we got both of these going. Now, what we have to do is we have to access this is what is called when you're talking to Siri, when it's actually making a request and you say, yes, send $50 using this app. This is what's called. So this is where we're going to handle our logic. And this is like the send is going to be where we withdraw from our account, and the request is where we're going to deposit into our account. So let's go ahead and add in all that functionality and get going. So now with the intent right here, the send payment intent, what you'll notice is that you have a currency amount. So that's what gets passed into your app. So we're going to need the currency amount, but we're actually going to be working mostly with the amount, and we want the double value. So we're going to be mostly working with this. So we're going to get the currency amount property, the amount property, and then the double value. And that will allow us, once we have the double value, that'll allow us to, add and subtract from our bank account, because it's just working with another number, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll do guard let amount equal this, else return. And you can't just do return like this, guys. You do have to do the completion, or else your Siri app will hang. So just make sure that you keep that in mind. Like, it won't return. It'll be like, I'm sorry, or it'll be like processing, or I'm thinking, or weird stuff like that. So you do have to add in the completion, and then it'll, like, after it's done thinking, it'll be like, I'm sorry, I couldn't process that request, or something like that. So just make sure that you add in your completion, and we're going to pass in in Siri payment intent response, and we'll initialize that with a code and a user activity. And the code, we're just going to put .failure. So this is stating whether it was a success or failure. And if you saw, there's a lot of different failures that will let you know, so you could trigger off a very specific thing. Once again, the SiriKit's pretty robust. Like, you can handle a lot of this stuff. So we just want to set up success, or we want to say just failure. We're just going to check if we're just going to state that it's a failure. And then NS user activity. This is going to be the actual, this is for like more in depth, and you would set up a user to interact with the account. This way you can always know who is requesting the money, because right now we're just making a random request. Like, how would your API know who is requesting it, right? But we're not going to set up the user activity. We're just going to set it to nil. So let's go ahead and do that. So now that we have the amount, what we can do is we can withdraw. We want to do our bank account. Oh, and also we want to go to the bank account and make sure that over here we have it set to Siri Bucks Intents, so that it can be used as well. So let's do that. So bank account dot Remember, we're sending, so that means that we need to withdraw or take out or subtract. So withdraw, and we're going to pass in our amount. And then after we do that, all we want to do is, remember I said it has to finish with the completion handler. We're going to pass our completion handler, and we're going to initialize it. And you could have done it in a different way. You could have put the response up here or whatever. I'm going to just do it in line. And we'll just say success. And then once again, for the user activity, we're going to just leave as nil because we're not working with actual, we're not creating actual users. Okay, so all this is saying that it's unused. To get rid of that, all we could do, we could just put at discardable result, and that'll just be like we don't necessarily want to use it. We don't want to use the double that's coming back necessarily. And we're gonna do pretty much the same exact thing, except so let's go ahead and copy this, right, guys? So remember, we're just getting the amount, right? And then we want to make sure that this is not payment, but this is request, because we're requesting. And then once we have the amount, instead of withdrawing, we're going to do bank account dot deposit. And then we're going to deposit that amount, and we're going to do completion. And you already know what the completion is: request, payment, intent handling, intent response. I'm sorry, it gave me the wrong one. And we're going to initialize, just say that's a success, and we're going to say nil right here. What? Okay. All right. So now that's all we really need to do. I thought I put discardable. Oh, I didn't. Okay. So we'll just do that just to get rid of it. And yeah, the only reason why I made it return something is just in case we wanted to do some debugging, and we wanted to check what the amount was. But yeah, you don't have to return something necessarily, but that should be it. We should be able to go ahead and launch our app, and we should be able to see it up and running. Send request, intent. Oh, not send. IN request payment. That's the problem with copying and pasting, right? So shame on me. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this using Siri when you choose an app to run with. And let's do that. All right, here we go. And it's going. Request $50 using Siri bucks.
Which app would you like to use?
Siri bucks.
I wish I could, but Siri Bucks hasn't set that up with me yet.
Oh, okay. Forgot something extremely major. Stupid Kyle. What are you doing? So, lastly, we needed... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just doing stuff without even telling you what's going on. Okay, so what I forgot to do was request that we do have Siri in our project. So there's in our info.plist, we need to go to the privacy and request all that stuff. We also need to go to the info.plist for the intents, and we have to set up which intents we're going to actually be using. So let's go ahead and do that. And then after we do that, we should be all ready to go. So we're going to go over to the plus. We're going to just type in privacy. We're going to go down until we find Siri. Siri usage description. We'll press enter. For the string, we'll just say, this is a Siri demo, you idiot. Nah, you do. You'd be a lot nicer to your users, or else shame on you. Okay, so now that we have that in our, make sure that was the this info.plist of the Siri bucks, right? So in this info.plist of the Siri bucks intents, you want to go over here, and what we'll do is we'll We'll drop down this NS extensions. We'll drop down the NS extension attribute. And then right now we need to do, so intents restricted while locked. Notice we have nothing. This is just like if you have a bunch of different Siri intents that you're using in your app, you can specify which ones you don't want to be used while the app is locked. Now the payment ones would be one of those, except it's automatically set to be unusable while the device is locked. So you don't necessarily have to specify it in there. And remember that Apple had set us up with all the messaging stuff. So all we have to do is we just go in and we just delete each of these because they're all the messaging intents. And we just all we want to do is we want to add the messaging intents. Now, I don't know these off the top of my head. What we actually have to do is we have to go over to, let's do Siri Intents, and then Apple documentation should come up. SiriKit Apple developer documentation in Google. We're gonna want to go into the intent domains. We want payments, right? And then we want to go into domain handling. And these are the two that we want. We want IN request payment intent. Okay, it's not going to let me copy and paste. That sucks. Let's see. Okay. We're going to go ahead and... Oh, now it wanted to let me... Betas, man. Okay. Oh, where am I going? IN send payment intent. So we'll go ahead and copy that one. All right. So now I believe that we should be all up and running. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, make sure we're back on the main target, and we're going to just run this on the phone. And we're going to make sure that we allow Siri. Oh, you know what? It's not even going to do that because I still forgot one other thing. We actually have to request it in the view did load. So what we have to do is we have to go to import. We have to go back to our main view controller. I don't know if you could tell this was the main view controller and import. What is it? Intents. And then we want to do IN. What is it? IN Siri. It was like IN Siri. I forgot what it was, honestly. IN preferences, that's what it is, preferences, and then we want to request Siri authorization. Now, I'm not going to do anything in here. What you would normally want to do is you want to you would just say status right here, and then if the status is something, then you would do something like if status dot or yeah. You would essentially check the status, and then if it's if they allowed access to it, then you would be triggering, like you would allow all your Siri setup stuff. But we're not gonna get into any of that right now. So now this will just bring up the alert that says, oh, we want to use Siri on this device. Is that okay? And then it's going to say yes, or we're going to say yes, and then we'll be able to go back, run the actual intent. So when this pops up, we get this message. See, would you like to use Siri Bucks with Siri? And this is a Siri demo, you idiot. Yeah, okay, seems nice enough, right? Okay, so now that we allowed access to it, we can close that. Now we can go back to the Siri Bucks intents scheme, and we can run that. Make sure we select Siri, and we're gonna hit run. It's gonna start running. Here we go. maybe. Request $50.
Which app would you like to use?
Oh, it's not there.
Sorry.
Okay, so we're still missing something. All right, guys, after looking into why everything wasn't working for such a long time, I realized there was two things that were going on. One is that when I pasted and I didn't see it pop up, I actually pasted it twice. I pasted the intent in my info.p list. So it ended up looking like this. So it shows up in the property list like normal. So when we drop down in the NS extension, we go back down to intent supported, it shows up properly. But since I pasted it twice, it's not working. So I had to go in and change. I have to change this. So let me do that. Just in case you guys run into this, I want to show you me doing it. And that I actually figured it out. And I was like, why isn't it working? This is all you really need to do. Yeah, so this is all you need right here. So that's done. The other thing was that you need to go up here, click on right here, go down to manage schemes. You want to make sure that both of these are checked this way that you can open up the app whenever you launch your whatever application you call it. So when I want to run SiriBucks, it can open up the app as well. So let's go ahead and do that. And when I press, I'm actually going to delete it off my phone real quick, and then I'll show you guys everything that's happening, and we'll run it. And we're going to choose SiriBucks. We're going to go ahead and run, and let's see if it finally works, because it should have worked so long ago, and it's really not that hard, but just a lot of things you have to go through. So I'm going to say okay. Send $50. It should be able to bring up SiriBucks. Let's see.
Which app would you like to use?
Yeah, there it is. SiriBucks.
Here's your SiriBucks payment for $50. Do you want to send it?
Yes.
SiriBucks sent your payment.
All right, so it said that it sent our payment. If we check our balance right now, it says 0, but remember that it sets it to 1,000. Oh, it might just set it to 50 because we sent something before we checked the balance. Oh, there we go. So it did set to 1,000 when it brought up. That's right. Okay, so it was set to 1,000, and then we brought it to 950. So now if I request some more money, I should be able to see that update. So request $3,000 using SiriBucks.
Here's your SiriBucks payment request for $3,000. Do you want to send it?
Yes.
SiriBucks sent your payment request.
Bam. All right, so it said that it sent it. So now we check, and bam, we have more money. So that's all you really need to do, guys. Sorry that there was so much choppy editing going on in here. There are a couple of different things that you need to do to get up and running with Siri in Xcode, but not necessarily in code, but in Xcode. And I hope I was able to demonstrate that for you guys. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me in the comments. And if you did like this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure that you subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter, and that's probably the best place to reach out to me, because I always get back to the Twitter comments a lot quicker, because YouTube comments, especially if you reply within a reply, it's kind of hard to follow up on. So yeah. All right, so once again, my name is Kyle Lee, aka Kilo Loco from kiloloco.com, and as always, code passionately.